Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric and a continuing series, The History of the Dead, where I take a look at every single House of the Dead game and talk about it in a historical and retrospective fashion. And today we got a fun one for you guys. It is House of the Dead Overkill. This is the first appearance of Agent G, and while Sega has never officially adopted this game into the mainline canon, I absolutely think it is. And I love that they even play around with the fact that nobody knows what G's name is, and Isaac Washington here asks him what that G stands for, and he refuses to tell. I just love that little sly nod. Like I said, while this game isn't technically canon, it fits in enough that it feels like it should be. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below hit like, subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, this is just an incredible game. It is the House of the Dead, but it is pivoted into a Southern Gothic Grindhouse horror style event. It is definitely the longest game in the franchise, but unlike House of the Dead 4, which is also available on consoles, the House of the Dead Overkill continually brings the gore like we want and expect it to occur. And that was my biggest complaint about 4 and Scarlet Dawn, is that Sega toned down the violence to try to reach a wider audience. Overkill does the exact opposite. It is filled with gore, dismemberment, exploding bodies. It has a ton of suggestive content, and it swears pretty much every chance it gets. And when I do listen to a cutscene, I'm going to have to bleep that swearing, not because I think you have to, but because YouTube insists. And I love when you get that score combo accuracy up, you get a goregasm with an American flag waving. But there are some subtle nods to games that would come later. I think maybe the House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn team played a lot of Overkill, because the only other time that I remember ever seeing a chandelier drop on the zombies is in Overkill itself. So it is possible that some of the design of Scarlet Dawn was in part inspired by Overkill, because this game got hyped up upon release. It sold a decent amount of copies. I bought it day one, and I absolutely loved playing it. This game makes me happy 100%. It is the House of the Dead with that Grindhouse pivot, and it just has everything I crave, especially that violence and that goregasm. You cannot go wrong with that. The game's definitely tongue-in-cheek, and it plays around a lot with the storyline of House of the Dead and how the characters operate in the world. And I will say right off the top that the voice acting is outstanding in this game. It is probably the first time in a House of the Dead game you could describe the voice acting as highly competent, if not excellent. You don't get that much, but you definitely get it here. And I love the fast-moving zombies as well that run right at you. Just hitting them with that shotgun blast to the face and exploding their body, it is what I crave in a zombie-like gun shooting game. And you definitely get a lot of extremely violent content as well. These zombies are just grinding up the dismembered torsos of victims while other victims hang from meat hooks on the ceiling. It goes hard, and if you can't tell, there's a slight double image on some of the zombies as well. Kind of looks like a chromatic aberration, something that a lens would do. In a lot of Grindhouse movies, they would even smear Vaseline on the lens to give it a softer image, and that would sometimes end up being a double image. But Papa Caesar here is an absolutely incredible character, and I'm going to say it right now, he's my favorite character in the entire House of the Dead, because it's basically almost like a Cuban Burt Reynolds. That's the character that I most associate with Papa Caesar, is the Burt Reynolds, almost southern gator, Smokey and the Bandit character. But it's just so much fun, and watch this cutscene closely, because it might seem like a mistake, but it's actually just hinting at how poorly made some of those Grindhouse movies were. Papa Caesar's going to get mad here, and he's going to take that cane, slap the glasses right off Jasper, and in the next scene, they are back. That's not a continuity error in the game, that's a continuity error nod to how poorly Grindhouse movies are made. There are so many little details in this game that you might not notice on your first, second, or even third playthrough, but I can 100% assure you they are there, and if you look for them, you'll have an absolutely spectacular time. But the boss battle's great as well. Jasper injects the serum that turns people into zombies into him, and he gets all of these powers. Now, the big tie-in to the House of the Dead franchise in and of itself is where that serum came from. It was a Cold War experiment. It was left underneath a bunker, underneath a prison in the universe this game takes place in. And I'm not going to tell you how that ties until the end of the video, but definitely stay tuned for that because it is quite interesting. But the boss battles are great, the shooting mechanics are great, but again, I just love the story and the voice acting. So go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds. Again, I apologize I had to beep some expletives. I don't think we should have to, but YouTube will definitely strike me if I don't, and I'll come back and talk more about the history of this game. But enjoy.
Tell my sister I love her.
How do you say that without moving your lips? Gee, you see this?
An act of mercy. It hurts so much.
I can help ease the pain.
No, you can't f***ing not. Shoot the mother.
Don't you do tact? That's what I am going to do. You know,
Shut the up and shoot.
happy now? Wit.
You bastard! You killed my brother!
You're his sister?
You're his sister?
Carla Guns, a doting sibling to a crippled brother, forced into a life of vice. Now she's filled with a primal hunger for revenge.
It's just a great story, it's just great voice acting, and it definitely sets the premise up for this game to play more like a film, which was 100% what they were definitely going for. But moving on, we are heading to the hospital. If there's one thing that a zombie game needs, it's a good hospital, because it's already an environment in which you expect gore to be present, and there's scalpels and the like around just to have a lot of fun with. But if you can't tell already, I did change the weapon out, and one of the best aspects of this game, similar to Scarlet Dawn that would come much later, is the fact that you can select all sorts of different weapons that you unlock throughout the gameplay with score and things as such. And I just love that you can play this game more than one time with different weapons and have a completely different experience. Now, I'm not saying that the developers of this game were SNK and Hyper Neo Geo fans, but when I first played this, I knew I had seen it somewhere, and I knew it was familiar. All of those zombie nurses and doctors, well, they make an appearance in my favorite game of all time, Beastbuster's Second Nightmare on the Hyper Neo Geo 64. Was this intentional? I don't know, probably not, but so many companies do so much research that it's possible that zombie nurses in a light gun game were maybe inspired by some Beastbusters. Or at least I could hope that is the case. Every once in a while you get these slowdown power-ups, not my favorite thing in the world, but they are fun to see those bodies explode in slow motion. But I will say, this game's soundtrack is an absolute banger, so go ahead and listen for 45 seconds and I'll come back and tell you more history. Enjoy! The composer did such a great job using that 70s Grindhouse jazzy vibe. It's just so good and I absolutely love it. And of course it wouldn't be a House of the Dead game without saving some civilians, but I will say compared to all the other House of the Dead games I've ever played, saving the civilians in this game is absolutely much easier, but you never get any life ups for it. Those come in the environment that you have to shoot, so it is just a score bonus mechanic. But again, this game is just so amazing. I love all the colors they chose. These warm yellows, that warm color temperature. It does emulate the look and feel of those classic Grindhouse movies. Even the gritty hospital, this game will slow itself down and basically become insanely easy because these zombies aren't going to get to you before you shoot them, but they're doing it just for the set decoration, blowing those zombies' torsos up while they're lying in the hospital bed trying to crawl towards you. It's just more for the atmosphere than it is for the gameplay. And they can do that in a game like Overkill because this game is well over an hour if you played from start to finish. It is much longer than an arcade experience because this never released in arcades. It is a home console game, so they get to do so much more, and I think that really works. And I will say the diversity of the zombies in this game is better than any of the House of the Dead games. They do recycle some enemies here and there, but for the most part, they have unique zombies for every single stage and variant zombies for like 1 or 2 rooms. They put a lot of effort into making this look and feel like a very long, very well designed experience, and I absolutely love that for it. And the thing is, I'm only showing you the first 2 levels of the game. This game has a ton more levels, and on the PlayStation 3, it has a couple exclusive bonus reels as well that are emulating when you would watch a movie back in the day, and there would be a reel missing because the distributor had lost it or it had been cut. And that's the fun part about this, is that I want you to go out and play it however you can and experience the full story, because trust me, it's 100% worth it. And while you do get that Southern Gothic Grindhouse to set it going on, you get a lot of Japanese horror influence as well. This feels very much like The Ring in the boss fight. Overkill just has something for everybody. It's always showing you something new, it's always showing you something unique, but it still has the classic light gun gameplay that you would expect out of the House of the Dead entry, and I really do wish that they had continued with Overkill or some more offshoots as well. Because technically Scarlet Dawn is not a numbered entry in the House of the Dead franchise, so in some ways that's almost its own offshoot. But Overkill, the universe that this exists in, I 100% want to see more of it, and I do hope that we get to one day, because I would love to see more how this game ties into the mainline story of Sega's House of the Dead. But now that the boss is dead, you just get more classic cutscene, and this is what I want you to take away from this video outside of the continuity to the main series, is how far the developers went in creating this really fun, intriguing, entertaining, and gory story, because there is a phone ringing in the corpse's body, and that is because Papa Caesar has hid a phone in her torso for you to find, and Isaac Washington's not going anywhere near it because he had a manicure yesterday. It's small touches like that and the interplay and dialogue between Isaac and G that really make this game stand out that much more, and I just can't get enough of it. And even though Scarlet Dawn was an incredible game that I enjoyed playing, from a story perspective and definitely from a voice acting and dialogue perspective, this game mops the floor with something like Scarlet Dawn every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Papa Caesar is just a spectacular character, and I want to know more about him. Give me a Papa Caesar prequel. I am there all day. I'll pay $100 for it. I don't care. But here's the thing, I do really feel like even though Sega has not accepted this game into the canon of the House of the Dead franchise, that it has 100% tied itself in, and I absolutely love the way it's done it, and I do believe it to be the true story of how the House of the Dead events unfold from the original game. So go ahead and listen to this cutscene for about a minute and a half. It's got incredible voice acting, and I'll come back and tell you what I think it means, but enjoy it.
Hello, Isaac. This is Caesar. We've never seen eye to eye, you and I, but I wanted you to be aware of some important things. I find myself burdened with an inexorable sense of moral duty, Isaac, and in the absence of a friend to confide in, I turn to you. You know Clement Darling, yes? The Cretan prison warden? It was he who originally discovered the mutant compound in a secret lab beneath its prison. Clement's ambitions are small-minded, Isaac, but he has friends, powerful friends, and they have had access to the compound for some time. You should know this so you can prepare, Isaac, so you can warn the right people while there's still time, and there's so little time. And one more thing, Isaac, are you aware your father is still alive?
And who are those powerful friends, you may ask? Well, you know them, you love them, you have fought against them before. That is because the special powerful friends he has, I am confident of, are going to be Curian, Goldman, and Thornhart. This is how the events of the House of the Dead started, and it all traces back to Papa Caesar and the House of the Dead Overkill. If you don't believe me, leave me a comment down below and tell me why. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.